welcome back to the DD Podcast, boys. It's Tony, it's Dak. We're happy to be back. Ooh, see what I did there? Doesn't matter where you're going, doesn't matter where you're at, matters where you're going. And we're going into football season, boys. So, and gals, for the gals out there that are watching.
The Cowboys fans.
Sorry about the hiatus. You know, life gets to life. Me and Ant have gone through a lot of life-changing stuff the past 2 months. But that being said, football season. A lot of people have already done their fantasy football drafts, but if you haven't, we're gonna help you and prepare you in this episode. We promised a fantasy football draft episode, and you're getting it right now. We're gonna go through some tips. We're gonna go through some players we like, some players we don't like, some sleepers, and as always, the best sports takes out there because we know ball.
Sir. All right. So let's get into the context. So for our players and things we're going to be choosing today, it's going off of 10 to 12 player leagues, full PPR, because that's the right way to play fantasy football. With that being said, we're also doing roster limits around of 1 flex, 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 kicker, 1 defense. Just the bare bones, basic stuff, no IDP stuff. We do that, but that's a lot to draft and stuff. And then no head coaches or kickers either, or punters, not kickers. I actually,
Kickers.
not
Kickers
punters
are
though.
people too.
Yeah,
Sorry, but you're a punter.
I joined a fantasy football league and had a draft last week, and it has head coaches and punters. It's interesting, but yeah. And then before we get too far today, we're gonna start getting into our players to draft. And Dak, hold on, is that what we said? Oh no, tips and tricks for first.
Yeah,
So
before
Dak,
we
you
get
got your
into
first.
players we like,
Yeah,
we're gonna go into tips and tricks. Each person, 5 tips, I believe.
yeah, 5.
Just the basic tips to know before you draft. If you're kind of new to fantasy football, and the first one is the thing you should know the most: know your league. And just talked about he has a league where he's drafting coaches and punters. You should know this. I have a draft tonight, or the night we are recording. I have a draft September 1st. That drafts 2 quarterbacks where you start 2 quarterbacks. You need to know these things before you're going into the league, because quarterbacks are going to be more value than most players. But know your league, know how many players, or know how many people are in the league, know what day and what time your draft is.
Don't auto pick.
Nothing is worse than your roster being auto-picked, not just for yourself, but for the league. I got auto-picked Calvin Ridley the other day, and I was kind of upset because I don't really know. Know your roster settings, if it's PPR, half PPR, non-PPR, and know the parameters of the league. Our second pick is do not draft a quarterback in the first 2 rounds. Alright, this is just a thing that I do all the time. I've hardly ever seen success with a guy taking Patrick Mahomes in the 2nd round when Pat Mahomes is going nuts. Okay, you can still get that production later on in the draft. Your first 2 rounds are what's going to win you the league. If you can't get a guy that is producing like a top 10 overall pick, and sometimes you can get 2 of them, because if you're in a 10-person league, you might be able to find, a sleeper in the 2nd round that's actually a top 5 player. Don't draft a quarterback in the 2nd round. Draft a kicker and defense in the last 2 rounds. These two slots might help you win games.
I don't necessarily agree with that one. But yeah. It's depends on who's there. Depends on if somebody who's brain dead's in your league. Like if you got people who don't really know what they're talking about, then some of those people in those last 2 rounds could really help you or lose you. So sometimes I draft my kicker after I get most of my starters. And defense.
What really kicker?
At least with IDPs.
Plan your picks based off of what you have, what pick you have. Okay, if you're going into your draft and you don't even know what pick you have, that's a problem. Some drafts, you don't know until an hour before. Do figure out what pick you have and do some research before about what potential picks you could have. Look at ADPs, look at where people are going, but look at the rankings based off of what could potentially happen and kind of do figure out, okay, in this area, I have 5 guys on my board that I could possibly go with. Have a plan A, plan B, plan C,
Yeah.
and then have a plan A off of plan C. Have a plan B off of plan B. Figure out which ways can go where if you really want to win your league.
Queue up players too.
Yes. Queue up players, that helps a lot in having to search. My last one, off of tip 4, do some mock drafts, see what could happen, see what routes you might have to go with, so that way you're prepared for actual draft time. Because there's nothing worse than not being prepared and you're taking Calvin Ridley in the 4th or 5th round when you just shouldn't.
Yeah, there's a couple. So like with the mock drafts, don't do mock drafts if you have IDP. Don't do mock drafts if you're doing head coaches, punters, that kind of thing, or like the double quarterbacks. Like if it's basic, it should be fine. But if you throw those extra positions in for mock drafts, the AI, the CPU, whatever they have drafting out of their positions, it's kind of a crapshoot. Unless you're drafting with other people, then it's different. Like if you join a mock draft, that's different than like just joining a mock draft by yourself. Don't really do that. So now back to mine. Draft a stack. So a QB and a skill position player. One of my favorites is obviously Joe Burrow and T. Higgins or Jamar Chase. It's always a go-to. Now that doesn't include Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. They do not have good stacks. Respectfully, they don't. But like, who else? Geno Smith, also not a very good stacker because he just throws the ball to everybody. But like for Justin Fields, get Garrett Wilson. Those are the kind of stacks you're looking for. Players that don't have a whole lot of weapons, excluding Joe Burrow, of course. The next is watch for bye weeks. You don't want all your good players on the bye week at the same time. Now that's not saying if you have the opportunity to draft Jamar Chase and some other high echelon receiver, don't do that. That's me saying like don't have 3 or 4 players at the same bye week, not like 2 or 3. Same thing with your quarterbacks. Make sure your backup quarterback is not the same week as your starting quarterback, because then you're screwed. What, Dak?
I'm going to counter this argument and say, hey, for me, if you're going to do it, do it. If you're going to have all your people on the same bye week, oh well, because if you lose one week and you win all the rest of them, who cares? But don't do it to where you're stuck at 3, 3, and 3, where you have multiple people, 3 people on the bye week the same week, and you're skidding yourself for 3 or 4 weeks.
See, that's what I'm saying.
On around the same bye. If you're going to take people that have the same bye, take a lot of them. If not, stay away. Because you can lose 1 to 2 weeks, and then all the rest of the weeks you're fine and dandy because you don't have to worry about one of your best players being on a bye.
Yeah.
But
group them together.
Spread them out. Yeah. Don't spread them out, either none or all. Don't spread.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Be wary of players in new situations, whether that be a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, team. Just because the team is better doesn't mean they will fit better. I don't have any off the top of my head immediately. Excluding like players that are going to people they've already played with. Like Geno Smith should have no problems on the Raiders because he's going to Pete Carroll. That kind of thing. That's totally different from Aaron Rodgers going from the Jets to the Steelers or something along those lines. And Saquon Barkley going from the Giants to the Eagles because he's Saquon Barkley. Like there are going to be people who are just doesn't matter. Like Devontae Adams a couple years ago, doesn't matter. He's Devontae Adams. But there are players that you don't want to target just because they have those big plays or those big names and they're going to a new spot. It's a little scary. So that's where my mind goes, like Jared Goff. Be careful with drafting him too early, because
another guy like off the top of my head is Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs. Yeah, okay, he had a little bit of success. And I'll say he had some success in Buffalo.
He
had some success from the Vikings to Buffalo, but did he really have success in Houston?
Mm-hmm. I mean, he did. He just got hurt. He just got hurt.
Is he going to have success in the offense that's going on in the Patriots? Be wary of it.
Yeah. Other exceptions are, of course, Derrick Henry. He's going to run over whoever, and Christian McCaffrey. He's kind of scheme-proof as well. He's going to catch the ball. He's going to run the football. He's going to get hurt by week And be careful of running backs on bad teams, especially ones that can't catch. If a team has a good running back but not a quarterback, be very careful because the defense will just stack the box. Right? I'm thinking like the Browns. Maybe the Browns. Do I have any examples off the top of my head?
I'm gonna say this year. I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb here and say Kenneth Walker. Um,
See, I will disagree because their run game looked disgusting in the preseason. And not Cliff Kingsbury. What's his name? He was just the offensive coordinator of the Saints last year. He's a part of a long line
Kellen
of
Moore? No, Kellen Moore's there now.
He's a part of a long line of offensive-minded people, but he knows what he's doing. Their offensive line is not great, so keep that in mind too. But I think Kenneth Murray is going to be fine. Now there may be some truth to what Dak says. I guess we'll find out. But that's the
McDonald.
what? No, that's the head
Mike.
coach. That's the head coach.
Talking the OC.
I'm talking about the OC. The head coach has also been there for a year, but he's the defensive guy.
Clint Kubiak.
Clint Kubiak, yeah, he was the offensive coordinator for the Saints last year. Remember, they dropped 40 2 weeks in a row, and then ran out of gas real fast on the Eagles. But they also had injuries, and Taysom Hill got hurt, and he's like the center gear in that offense. So when he got hurt, it was just kind of downhill from there, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. So just keep that in mind when you're drafting.
Concussions.
And then just keep that in mind when you're drafting running backs or anybody really. And then do I have one more? I sure do. Be active. Don't sit on your hands. In your league, it ruins it for everyone. If your team stinks, try to make changes, whether it's waivers or trades. I am constantly making trades in my dynasty league. It's the one.
Many trades.
It's the one Dak and I will reference a lot because we've been in this league this is going on season 3. I've won the most amount of games, but I haven't won the chip yet, and it drives me nuts. So I'm gonna keep changing my team until it fits. And with all the trades that I've made, I continue to win the most games. So it's just playing the right players when they need to be played. Last year I got screwed. I lost by 3 points. The year before that, I lost by I think 4 points.
I won the chip by 0.3 points the first year.
Yeah, that's all it takes. That's all it takes.
It's insane. Every little detail matters, and that's what we're kind of telling you. But every little detail will matter with these 5 players, 10 players that we are avoiding in fantasy football this year. I'm gonna start it out because this is the one that Ant's gonna hate the most, and I'm gonna say Ashton Jeanty in the first 2 rounds. He could be good. I'm not gonna sit here and say he can't. But it's hard for me to draft a unproven rookie, and they essentially have not proven much, and I need provenness in my first 2 rounds because I think that's going to help me later on in the draft. I would much rather have a guy like Jonathan Taylor in the 2nd round, who Ant might reference here in a minute, than a guy like Ashton Jeanty, who in some cases is going in the 1st round right now. Yeah, I know
he's going top 10.
Bijan Robinson, who he went insane his rookie year, but Bijan was I think he was in a good situation where he was kind of going to be their whole offense. Is Ashton Jeanty going to be the whole offense? Who knows? But I need provenness in my first 2 rounds, and it's hard for me to draft a rookie.
It's not hard for me to draft a rookie. If I had the opportunity to draft Ashton Jeanty, I would have. He was taken before me every freaking time. I was top 4 pick every time. I was like, I love him, but I can't do that. I finally get the 10th pick. Person before me takes him. Okay, whatever. I'll take Brock Bowers on the way back around. Brock Bowers gets picked after me. Listen, the people I work with were bullying me. That's all it was. Both leagues. I'm in 2 different leagues with my work people. Both leagues, they were just bullying me. Anyways, now to my first player to avoid, Davante Adams. He's, again, scheme-proof, like I said, but there's a possibility that Jimmy Garoppolo is his quarterback this year for a couple weeks. And the last time Jimmy Garoppolo was Davante Adams' quarterback, he got out real fast. Go watch receiver.
Yeah, he was complaining that he didn't want to play football anymore.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't care what he's saying in minicamp where it's, the that time was just sucking the life out of you. I get it. You played under Josh McDaniels. I bet it was. But at the same time, you're a professional. You're one of the best in the league. You got to deal with it. Now, going back to having a football thrown to you by Jimmy Garoppolo, that I understand. I understand being peeved off about that. He's not a good quarterback, and he hasn't been for years. So I understand being upset about that and being thrown hospital balls, which he did in minicamp. So if there were tackles, he would be out because he would have been killed in minicamp. But your turn.
I'm gonna go with another receiver, not in the same division, but or conference. I'm gonna go with Garrett Wilson. I don't know if we've seen what Justin Fields looked like, but Justin Fields' confidence level just looks severely down. He doesn't look like the same quarterback. Preseason, he just looked all over the place. He's struggling, and there's no way I'm taking Garrett Wilson in the first 3 rounds when I don't know what type of quarterback is going to be throwing to him. Is it a confident one? Is it a guy that's going to be running all over the field like Kyler Murray? What quarterback am I getting from Justin Fields? And that's why it's like I can't necessarily pick Garrett Wilson and have him be my wide receiver 1 or my wide receiver 2. Garrett Wilson to me feels like a flex option in his situation where he has high upside, but and he's got the floor, but I don't know what it feels like, and he's not a guy that I'm starting my wide receiver 1 or my wide receiver 2.
Yeah, I get that. I don't feel the same way, but I understand all the possibilities of no goodness with the mixed bag of Justin Fields that we've gotten over the last couple of years. But my next player is Jonathan Taylor. Actually, just traded him for somebody. I don't remember who.
Yeah, the last 2 guys that you've talked about have been traded to me and put on my roster.
Oh, I traded him to you. Let's see.
Yeah, Devontae Adams is now on my team, and Jonathan Taylor is now on my team. He got Matthew Golden, a 2nd, and a 3rd, and Adonai Mitchell. The 3rd is in next year's draft, and the 3rd is in 2 years' draft. The 2nd is in next year's draft. I'm high on Jonathan Taylor. We'll figure out why Ant's not high on Jonathan Taylor.
I am not high on Jonathan Taylor because I don't like Danny Dimes when he's with running backs. I don't like the running backs he plays with. Daniel Dimes, like I said, he's an exception, and they barely played together because Daniel Jones was hurt when he played on the Giants. So, but like I said, Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. They're going to stack the box. He has noodle arm. He's injury prone. And Jonathan Taylor has a decent offensive line, but they've lost, 3 starters last year? It was just 2. They lost at least 2 starters, and they're...
And they just lost another potential starter.
I would just stay away from all Colts skill position players, excluding Tyler Warren. I traded Adonai Mitchell to him because I don't trust him. I think Adonai Mitchell is going to be a great receiver at some point in time, just not on the Colts. I just don't trust him.
In a few years.
That wouldn't be good for him either, but I just don't trust the Colts. They don't have a number 1 receiver ever, let's be honest. But I just don't trust the Colts. I don't trust anything they do anymore, and I don't trust Daniel Jones. It's that simple. Sure, he's got the rush upside, but if the turf monster followed him there, then he's not getting very far. So I'm not trusting him. I would rather take Gardner Minshew on the Colts over Daniel Jones.
Oh, that's
a couple years ago, he dang near took him to the playoffs. So Daniel Jones stinks.
The next one for me, I believe, is
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon. See, his ADP and his ranking was, I believe, in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, you said 3rd or 4th round.
Now, and I believe it's dropped significantly because he's going to be out the first 4 weeks. Granted, still don't even see him in the top here as I'm looking. He's got a bad offensive line. He's hurt, and I believe they have a rookie sitting back there that will be getting a lot of reps here soon. And is, I believe...
Yeah, Woody Marks?
Woody Marks is his name. And I think he's going to be a dog. He's a rookie. You get to learn from Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb. Granted, they may not be able to do it, but they've been able to do it.
They've both been top
in
5
career.
backs in their career at some point. Maybe
And,
not Mixon, but definitely
I'm
Chubb.
a firm believer in Nick Chubb coming back and getting it together, because Nick Chubb was a top 3 running back in the NFL at one time. Granted, you tear your ACLs, you tear everything in your legs the way he's done several times in his career, it takes a toll. But if he's done it once, I think he can do it again. But yeah, just Joe Mixon. I don't like the situation he's in. I don't like the offensive line, and CJ Stroud's they're gonna have to rely on CJ Stroud to throw the ball around a lot.
I second that, but I wish my boy Damian Pierce would get more love on the Texans, but because he lit it up his rookie year. I actually traded Josh Jacobs for him, I think. Next pick for me is Justin Herbert. He doesn't really have very many receiving threats outside of Ladd McConkey and now Keenan Allen, but his running backs are not receiving threats. He's got a good O-line, but they just lost Rashawn Slater for, I think, the season. Last week, maybe? So, Rashawn Slater. I think he's out for the
He's been
season.
gone for a while.
I think he's out for the
Going
season.
mid-year.
So,
He's out for the year, but he went out during training camp.
yeah. So, I don't really like Justin Herbert. Now, if you have the opportunity to draft any of his running backs, specifically Marion Hampton, I would shoot for that because he's going to be running the ball a lot.
Shoot your eye out, Najee Harris. Sorry.
Fireworks, explosions, colors. Dak, next player.
I believe it's Sam Darnold.
It is Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
No, that's my next player.
That's yours.
Yeah, you skipped
and
one.
I put under there. I'm gonna repeat what you're saying. So go ahead and say what you're gonna say.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say Milrose back there. So.
Okay. So Sam Darnold, I don't like Sam Darnold. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I think he's got to play under a really good head coach, Kevin O'Connell. I think he's a good offensive coordinator. I think he's a good coach. And he got to play with a really good defense under Brian Flores, who really helped him a lot. Not saying that Mike McDonald can't do the same thing with his defense, which ended up turning around a little bit at the end of the season, because he's also a defensive-minded head coach. But I just don't think Sam Darnold is going to do well behind an offensive line that's not that good. The Vikings' offensive line is pretty darn good, and the Seahawks is not. Yes, they just drafted Gray Zabel, but I don't think that's enough, and I don't know if they made any other moves this offseason, at least not enough for me to care, because Sam Darnold still has tippy-tappy feet under pressure, and he's not as mobile as Geno Smith. And Geno Smith got sacked, I think, 50-plus times last year. And they lost DK Metcalf, so it's Jackson Smith and Jigba, Torrey Horton, and Tyler Lockett's on the Titans now. It's just JSN and Cooper Kupp. I mean, that's another reason why I'm high on their running backs, is because Cooper Kupp can run block. But I would not touch Sam Darnold. I'd even be hesitant with JSN, but not really, because Justin Jefferson still got good points last year. So, it just depends.
It just depends on what routes and schemes are running. I'm seconding everything you just said. I think we're going to see Jalen Milroe sooner than later.
Yeah, because that contract also got him, like, it's really a one-year deal, if you really look behind it. So
see what we're going to do, and then we'll see what the rest will pay you. I'm going to go next on Kyle Pitts. Unless he's going in the 13th or 14th round, don't waste the pick on him. I just traded for him because it's a dynasty, and I think I can because I have a team to see what the upside it is. But essentially, I traded him for something that I could get the 13th or 14th round. You don't want him as your tight end one. You just don't, because you don't know if he's going to perform. You don't know if he's going to give you even 10 points. He might give you 2. It's just so hit or miss. Don't risk it. Do not risk a top 8 pick, top 9 pick, for sure, on Kyle Pitts.
yeah, I can get behind that. I do think he has more luck this year with a mobile quarterback who is going to move out of the pocket a little bit, especially if he can pick it up. Maybe, I don't know. Kyle Pitts came out of college and was supposed to be a unicorn, but he's just a donkey. My last pick I have two more picks. Travis Kelce, he looked like did not look like his old self last year. Looked like a shell. Even in the Super Bowl, he looked really rough. And now he's engaged to Taylor Swift. That's just a whole lot of other stuff that he's got to deal with. Coming from somebody who was recently got married, I understand there's a whole lot of other stuff, and I doubt Taylor Swift's doing a lot of the wedding planning. I doubt he's doing a lot of the wedding planning. But that's still a lot of stress on top of being supposed to be a top 5 tight end in the league. I don't know how it's going to shake out, but I could see...
Shake it off.
Shake it off, yeah. The Chiefs are going to have to shake off their loss in the Super Bowl last year because they got clapped. So let's see if they can shake it off. And if they can't, welcome back to the AFC West because we are going to be rising back up. Not the Raiders, but the AFC West. It's going to be a little bit crazier. I think the Chiefs have won like the last 10 years since Peyton Manning left. So, anyways, I don't see any more players for you, so I'll throw up my last guy too. Any Browns skill position player, because the Browns suck. I had to get it in there. The only guy I would take is Quinshawn Judkins, and he's not signed because he's off the field stuff. I'm not going to speak to it because I don't really know what's going on. And then I think Dylan Sampson might be too. Maybe he's somebody to look at. But outside of him, I don't trust the Browns at all.
I like David Njoku the first 4 weeks because Flacco and him have a really good connection. And I think that's a guy Flacco will rely on if he does, have time to actually throw the ball. But that's not a top 8, 9 pick that I'm going to go with. If I get Njoku in the 8th or 9th round, maybe. They have a decent connection.
Speaking of auto pick, I got auto picked David Njoku over the weekend, and because I got distracted, I was eating lunch with some of my friends and my wife.
And when you auto draft, you make mistakes.
Yeah, I auto drafted him, and then I traded him the same day for Josh Downs. So I don't trust him. I don't trust David Njoku, and I traded him, and I picked up Chicken Conquo because I trust him more than I trust David Njoku. Especially because of his offseason injury. Like, he had, super burned face. I don't know what happened, but he got really burned up. Feel bad for him, but I don't like that.
Not the players we do like, and I will let you start off with.
Yeah. So, I literally just filled this out today, like an hour before we did this, because I forgot I didn't do it. So, R.J. Harvey is the starting running back for the Broncos. I said something similar, I think, earlier.
Not the starter yet.
Oh, he's going to be the starter. I got him in round 6, so I would assume he's going around round 6. My only downside of him is that doesn't have much receiving upside from what I've seen, but people change the way they play in the NFL, learn things to stay on the field. That's something that you could look for. Excuse me, sorry. But Sean Payton loves his running backs. Another player I don't think he's mentioned, so I'm going to throw that out there too, is Evan Ingram. He's been raving about Evan Ingram all offseason because he loves his joker, I believe is what he calls them, tight ends. So just keep that in mind too. Evan Ingram and R.J. Harvey should be on your board or over your radar.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of jump around here since we're sticking on the Broncos theme. I'm going to go with Courtland Sutton, currently going in rounds 5 through 6 right now. And I think his value is easily a wide receiver 1 potential, easily being wide receiver 2 to any option or any team. I think Courtland Sutton can start at wide receiver 2 for any team in fantasy football, and you can currently get him at a flex rate if you think about it. If you go 3 running backs and 3 wide receivers in your first 6 picks, so the production that he's going to get from Bo Nix, I think Bo Nix is just going to. I'm really high on Bo Nix this year, and I think he's going to be able to. He's going to be getting the ball. Courtland Sutton is easily the best receiver there, and he's just going to find ways to get open and find ways to score touchdowns. So I'm going to stick with that Broncos team and go with Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, I disagree. I actually just traded him a couple weeks ago for Ladd McConkey and a couple other things. Definitely overpaid, but it didn't matter. Actually, my next player is Garrett Wilson. Like I said, I don't agree with Dak. He's the number 1 target. Thank you. He's the number 1 target on his team when he's on a team with a lack of targets. Him and Mason Taylor are like the only 2 guys I would worry about taking targets away, other than maybe Braylon Allen, who will eventually be the starter. over Breece Hall, I'd imagine. I don't think Breece Hall likes being a Jet, and I don't think they like him being a Jet. But I took Garrett Wilson in the 3rd round, and he should be Fields' favorite target and get some long ball touchdowns this season, similar to DJ Moore last time Fields was his quarterback.
So since we're just disagreeing on everything, I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor. He's a guy I like. Easily a second, going in the 2nd round, easily could be RB1 for any team. And I think he has top 3 fantasy football potential. Jamar Chase, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, those 3 could be the top 3 in this year's fantasy football rankings. If he can stay healthy, I believe he almost led, if not did lead the NFL in rushing yards last year, and he missed 3 games. They're going to lean on the run game a little bit more than the passing game, and because neither quarterback they have there can really throw the ball accurately, and the Colts continuously if they can prove that they can run the football and run smash mouth football, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be easily a top 5 fantasy football player this year.
Yeah, and then there's me who traded him away. But in all fairness, I have Bijan Robinson, so it's not like I was really hurting.
Did he lead the NFL in rushing yards last year?
No, but he's
Is that what
going.
you looked at?
No. Oh, I was trying to find it, but I couldn't find it quickly, so I didn't care to look any further. My next guy is Chuba Hubbard. I drafted him in the late 3rd. Still no competition to take away carries, and he lit it up last year in the last half of the 2024 season. In my one of my leagues, he had like 20-plus points every week, which is going to get you. That's running back 1 numbers.
All right, I made a crazy claim here. Obviously, Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry were 1 and 2 last year in fantasy or in rushing yards.
Yeah.
I believe what it was Jonathan Taylor was 2nd in yards a game last year with 102. There was a stat I seen that I think like from weeks 11 on to 17, he led the NFL in rushing yards and didn't play 3 of those games or something like that. Sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure that I don't sound stupid when Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry are in the NFL and they almost had 2,000 yards.
Yeah, no, you're not going to outrun them. So yeah, Chuba Hubbard. They're also kind of still lacking in weapons a little bit, at least unproven weapons. They just traded away Adam Thielen. They do have Tedero McMillan. Jalen Coker's on IR, but they did bring back the GOAT, Hunter Renfrow. If he stays on the roster, I might have to cop a jersey, I'm not going to lie to you. Hunter Renfrow is just so crispy. And it's not just because he's a wide receiver, it's because he's like stupid good at running routes. But yeah, Chuba Hubbard's somebody to look out for. Jonathan Stewart's out. Jonathan Stewart, that's his name, right? He's out all season with another torn ACL. Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Stewart used to be on the Panthers. He was the starter over Christian McCaffrey. Anyways, now your player.
Late quarterback strategy. I've lived and died with this for so many years. You can get 2 quarterbacks late that are going to give you potentially production for a top 10 quarterback, especially if you're in a 10-person league. If you think about it, if you're taking the 10th quarterback in your league, he could potentially be a top 6, top 7 quarterback, depending on how things shake up. You can live and die by taking a quarterback in the 8 and 9 rounds in most 10 to 12 people fantasy football leagues. So I'm living and dying with Dak Prescott and Jared Goff in the 9th and 12th round this year.
You'll live and die alone because I will never do such a thing. I got Bo Nix in the 8th, so if you consider that late, then yeah. And then maybe C.J. Stroud. Yeah, I got C.J. Stroud in the 9th in that one league. So, like, I guess. But I don't know. I don't usually do that. That was just how the cookie crumbled. There's a lot of skill position players that were available, and I was shooting for them.
Exactly why you just wait and you get the best skill position
now,
players.
That's the exception of that is Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. If they're available and you have the PPR, maybe take them because they will run the ball and they will get points with their feet. But just be aware that they do not have stacks. The first and only quarterback I would draft that early for a stack is Joe Burrow. But good luck getting Jamar Chase. T. Higgins will be available in like the 3rd or 4th round, so maybe then. The next guy for me is Mason Taylor. He's a rookie on the Jets. I mentioned him earlier. He's, again, on a team with very little offensive weapons. This is not me saying that I have high hopes for the Jets. It's me saying that I think they're plausible weapons to be taken. Mason Taylor, I'm pretty sure went undrafted in one of my leagues, and he's going to be the starting tight end. The Lions' new offensive coordinator, not the Lions' offensive coordinator, the Jets' offensive coordinator came from the Lions, and they heavily utilized their tight ends, whether it be Sam Laporta or T.J. Hawkinson. And Mason Taylor is also athletic. He's the son of Jason Taylor, so he's been in the NFL atmosphere a lot in his life. And the last tight end to have like a full season with Justin Fields was Cole Kmet, and that was when he played the best. Cole Kmet had his best seasons with Justin Fields. And I don't include the Steelers because Pat Freiermuth, I don't really understand him. I don't know what he is as a player. But I know Cole Kmet was good, and then Caleb Williams came to town and he fell off a cliff, and now they have Colston Loveland. So I don't know if they're going 12 personnel or what, but I would just keep that on your radar as him getting traded possibly. So.
Chase Brown, going in the second round, could see him slide to the third round. I believe he's going to be a top 5 running back this year, just with the usage he's going to get. He's got no competition in the backfield. He catches the ball out of the backfield well, and he's going to run the ball a lot. He's going to remind you a lot of what Joe Mixon was doing on that roster a few years ago. You got to respect T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So who's going to stop the flats? Who's going to stop the open the field, the catches, the PPR stuff? Easily could be getting 3 catches a game, and that's 3 points there. And then if he has a 40 to 50 yard rushing day, depending on how many yards he gets on the catches, that's easily almost 10 points a day. If not getting a touchdown somewhere in there, that's 16 points easily that Chase Brown could be getting.
So,
and
going back to my
back as well.
Yeah, going back to my point earlier about not taking running backs on bad teams, it's because they're down. You're not going to run the ball when you're down a lot. That's what my brain just thought. Because so this offseason I traded Chase Brown, Cortland Sutton, and a pick for Ladd McConkey and somebody else, I think. Looking back at it,
making her bad.
It's not bad. Not when you look at my team. It was a slight overpay, but I also have a lot of faith in Ladd McConkey. And I have no faith in Cortland Sutton or Chase Brown. No faith in Chase Brown. I think he could be good still.
I'd love to have both of them.
But you also have to think the team that I traded him to, I'm not really scared of, respectfully.
At your brother.
Yeah, at my brother. So, with that being said, I would keep an eye out on the teams that are down as well. Like, again, with the teams that don't win. Not saying the Bengals don't win, because they do. But their defense still stinks, probably. So they could be fighting. Could be fighting from back. Wow, English words are hard for me today. They could be playing behind a lot, so that'd be something I'd be worried about. And Chase Brown might get limited carries because of that. He'll still be on the field though. And then my last pick for this is Bashal Tutin or Tank Bigsby. I think Travis Etienne is finally usurped by one of those two this year. Both Tank Bigsby had some flashes last season, and Bashal Tutin is fast and also showed flashes this preseason. And they're both available like super late. I have both of them in different leagues. I took Bashal Tutin in round 14, and I took Tank Bigsby in round 12. For possible starting running backs, you can't really beat that. That's kind of insane value. And I think the Jaguars could be better. You also have to think the defenses they're playing. The Colts defense is all right. They're up in the air this year. Lou Anarumo, we'll see what he does. But they don't really have a great D-line outside of DeForest Buckner. There's a lot of up in the airs with them. Grover Stewart's there too, I guess. But I also trust Liam Cohen, who knows how to utilize running backs with Rachaad White and Bucky Irving. Yeah. So I really like him as an offensive coordinator and head coach. So I think he's going to do some good things over in Jacksonville. I don't think the Texans are going to run away with it this year.
Duval.
Yeah, Duval. Okay.
So I actually have one more because I put wide
Una
receivers
más.
before because I didn't listen. Late receiver strategy. There's so many good wide receivers late
He
in this
didn't
draft.
listen to
Michael
himself.
Pittman,
He literally wrote the
um,
show notes.
Chris Olave, Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden
Don't
easily
draft Chris
would
Olave.
be a flex option. Um, there's guys that around 8 and 10 that could be starting in your flex week one. Meaning you should have already had your wide receiver one from the first 3 rounds. You can then stack your running backs, pick guys that you think can do something. Don't and that allows you to pick a quarterback early because there's so many deep options late in the draft, or you can do vice versa. But having a plan, what we talked about earlier, is something you must do when going into a fantasy football draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
And two sleepers.
Yeah, two sleepers.
Rounds 12 through 15.
Yeah. I
you
really
wanna
like
start?
my picks, yeah. So my first pick is Dante Thornton Jr. He's going to be a starter on the Raiders, and he's 6'5" and ran a 4.34 dash. In the preseason and training camp and all that fun stuff, they've been trying to get him the ball, getting him up real fast. He wasn't supposed to be a starter, but he's showed a lot of improvement. His hands are they're there, but they could use some work. The real problem is his release. He's, again, really fast, but if he can't get off the line, that causes a whole lot of problems with your route and timing and trust with the quarterback. But he's got the wingspan and the speed, again, to catch up and get there. So he's somebody I would look for really deep, again, 12 through 15. He could make a big impact, especially if you're in a dynasty league. I have him and Jack Besh and Brock Bowers all in one league. I'm really high on the Raiders' weapons, especially the young ones. But I would bias maybe a little bit, but in all fairness, Jack Besh is on taxi squad, and again, my team is good. We have plenty of roster spots. So
For those who don't know what a taxi squad is, pretty much a squad you can put rookies on and say, I hope you get good for next year because you actually make my roster. If you don't, oh well, you just go to the portal.
yeah, I got Jalen Milroe on that too. So
I'm really high on Braylon Allen, as we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
He's sliding. I think he's going up a lot of boards right now. He's already getting a lot of reps in short yardage situations. Brees Hall is probably going to get moved, and Braylon Allen is a dog. He reminds me so much of Jonathan Taylor. I remember he was a freshman, 17 years old, playing for Wisconsin, and was a true freshman and was just eating the year after Jonathan Taylor left. Another guy that I believe ran in the 4.4s. Jonathan Taylor ran a 4.9 or 4.39 in his 40 coming out of school. I believe Braylon Allen ran somewhere close to that. He's gonna be a dog. If you're in a sleeper, or not sleeper, if you're in a dynasty league, you better get him because he's a dog.
oh, that's another tip or trick for you. Use Sleeper over ESPN. ESPN did change their layout, so it looks a lot better. It's a lot nicer now, but Sleeper is just better. It just
Looks
is.
like sleeper.
Yeah, they made it like Sleeper.
I'm gonna put it up.
My last sleeper pick, is a kicker. Actually, not what you expected, but Cam Little. Keep your eye out for Cam Little. He kicked a 70-yard field goal. I'm trying to trade for him in one of my leagues, and they won't trade him to me. I literally threw in a pick. They won't trade him. Yeah, I'm trying to trade for him.
Who's got Cam Little?
I don't know. Somebody I don't know. But yeah, try to trade for Cam Little. He kicked a 70-yard field goal. I don't think he missed any, at least none noticeable. And as a kicker, if he kicks a 60-plus yard field goal, it doesn't matter if he misses the rest of the game because he got you the points in that one kick. He might be the only kicker in the league that could win you a game, legitimately. So, Dax got one more pick.
Roman Wilson. Don't even know who he is. He's wide receiver 2 for the Steelers. I want to remind you guys what wide receivers 2 have done for Aaron Rodgers over the years. They've been pretty much dogs. Alan Lazard was one. You think Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson, 1 and 2 there. He had Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. They still produced a lot together. So Roman Wilson's probably going undrafted in most leagues. If he is going drafted, it's probably the 13th or 14th round. And could be a solid flex option, week 2, week 3. If you draft him and he's not even going drafted, you can beat guys to, having him on your roster when everyone's trying to go and get him from the waiver wire.
I hate to break it to you, but he's starting if they run a 3 receivers, but other than that, he's behind Calvin Austin. So maybe, but Calvin Austin.
Receiver too. Calvin Austin's more of your flex or your slot guy. He's a speedster.
Yeah, if you say so.
Roman Wilson, I think, is kind of the same position, but I think he can play outside.
But yeah, so that'll do it for the fantasy football episode we got for you today. We will be coming back out with another video later this week about our pick'ems. That's one thing we're going to try to do this NFL season, is we will release one shorter episode each week with 3 pick'ems each, and we will track our record for that as the season goes on and see who is the better pick'em. But we're also pick'em player. But we're also going to tack on another thing with betting-esqueness, just to spice it up, have a little fun with the channel.
Then we got a survivor pick as well. We
Yeah,
have to pick
that's
one
what
game that we think for sure, and see if we can pick a correct game each week, and see. And if not, we'll see what our record comes out to be just by picking one survivor pick. I think we're gonna put it where our survivor pick can't be in our pick'ems either. I think that's what.
Sure, that works. Yeah, that works. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we got coming up and more. With all that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let your friends know that everybody on the TD podcast, Tony and Dak, we know ball, and now so do you.